Hello there, and welcome to episode 11 of Colonization Project. Right now, we are resuming the mission that we launched in the last episode, which includes a rover for the surface of the Mun. Right now, we are taking it out for, I say a test drive, but it's really not. It's the main mission itself. But we're just taking it over to a nearby crater, which it's one of the breaking ground craters that you can scan with the robot arm. We're just sending over to that to scan the crater. You can see that is exactly what we're doing, and I don't really have anything to say. It's just the science being collected. Anyways, you may notice that we are leaving the fuel tanks and engines on the rover. This is so that we can actually have some fuel to use the rockets, because if you remember, we had to land this thing using rockets. I don't see how else we would land it. We don't have the technology for fusion or fission propulsion yet, and jet engines don't work in space, so we have to use chemical rockets or solid rockets. You can just see me testing out the rockets right now. See that it just flew up into the air. Those will be helpful later on. That's a bit of foreshadowing. Also that's a bit of foreshadowing too, because we just tipped over. But thankfully, the gyroscopes on, I say gyroscopes, they're reaction wheels. They're more than enough to keep this rover upright. This is actually quite an entertaining rover drive, because I had one hand on the WASD keys controlling the reaction wheels, and my other hand on the arrow keys, which I bonded to the rover wheels. So that is because otherwise we would have, if I used normal like WASD to control the wheels, then the reaction wheels would have tipped the rover over, and that is not good. Anyways, we have entered a new biome, so we can now gather some science from here. And now would be a good time to talk about what this mission is about. It's not about collecting science. Rovers aren't very efficient at doing that, and unless you're on like a body like Tylo, which rovers are very efficient for gathering biome data. You'll normally just biome hop. This mission is to investigate the radio signatures found by one of our ScanSats that we launched earlier in this series. You may be able to see what we're looking for coming into view, because I slowed it down to 1x speed. This mission is supposed to look for the source of this radio signature. Should be coming into view any second now. I think it's just over this hill. It's gonna come eventually. Any minute now. Oh, you can sort of see it in the corner. It's 2 spikes rising off the ground. And it's 3 spikes, 4 spikes, and the Kerbals eventually see that it is an entire henge of... Yeah, henge is essentially just... It's what it is. It's what it I cannot speak properly today. It is a henge. It is essentially just a vowel henge, but I use Kerbal constructs to put it on the Mun. The normal vowel henge is still there, but I just added it there. Anyways, we can now see that there's also a black monolith. So the Kerbals, I don't think the Kerbals built this, because right now the entire space agency is quite confused by this monolith and artifacts, I guess. Now that we have arrived, we can get the Kerbals out to investigate this strange structure. Once again, I say once again, I haven't even spoken about it once. There's really no science to be acquired here, because you can't collect samples from what is it called, anomalies on the surface, at least not yet, or in the version I'm playing. But we can plant a flag signaling that these are alien artifacts, and we planted a flag there just so if we ever need to head back here, we can. And right now the Kerbals are probably really confused because, did I already say this? I'm not entirely sure. Anyways, we can fly the Kerbal up to the top to get a better view. And then he falls down. Hopefully he didn't break any bones, because he probably didn't. Kerbals are... they have a 20% chance of falling from 20 feet above the air. Even on Munar gravity, they have a 20% chance of surviving, and I say 20. It's probably a 20% chance of them dying from the falling. Yeah. They probably have a 20% chance of falling at that speed. Just ignore those last few sentences because they made absolutely no sense at all. Anyways, now that all of the data has been acquired, the R&D center is probably researching away as we speak, and we can head back to the lander. You can see that we are flying quite a bit. Rovers aren't really supposed to fly on any planet or moon, except maybe Gilly. You never want a rover on Gilly because, like, if you hit a single bump, you will go flying into orbit, probably even out of orbit. But somehow we survived. I'm going to slow this down to 1x speed here because something interesting happens here. You probably know that by now, because if I slow anything down to 1x speed, it's either a landing or something like this. Yes, I did accidentally discover a ramp on the surface of the Mun. I didn't know this existed, but we learned the hard way. This would have been fine. This would have been perfectly fine if we had the rockets, but unfortunately, if you saw earlier, our rockets, our fuel tanks exploded, essentially. And same for the entire rover. I'm not sure how the RTG didn't scatter nuclear waste all around the Mun. For those who don't know, or for those who don't play Kerbal Space Program, which I find quite unlikely because I wouldn't expect someone who doesn't play Kerbal Space Program watching this series that has quite a few mods in it. Anyways, an RTG is essentially just nuclear power -2. Essentially how RTGs work is that you have plutonium or some other element that decays. You just use the heat for energy. But anyways, somehow the Kerbals survived, and now we have a rather long walk to get back to the lander. In order to make this more bearable, I installed EVA follower, because I can, like, walking one Kerbal there was hard enough, and I didn't want to have to walk 2 Kerbals there. You can see I'm just we packed the little container of the rover with a seismometer, and I thought, what better time to use it than now? So I just dropped it on the floor, and we could collect data that way. But now we got a really long walk to get back. We probably had enough EVA fuel to get there, but I didn't really want to risk it. Because one Kerbal has I forget the other Kerbal's name. The one that's not Wilkin has full EVA propellant, but Wilkin Kerman has, I think, about half. So I didn't really want to risk having the Kerbal either crash into the lander or crash into the surface. So we're just walking halfway there until we get within 2.3 kilometers, and then we can use the RCS pack for the rest of the way. Now you can see I'm stopping periodically here. This is because for some reason, one Kerbal, the one that's following, is slower than the one I'm actually controlling. So I'm just stopping to let the other Kerbal catch up. But yeah, it's just this really long walk across the surface of the Mun. I'm really regretting that I didn't notice the crater right there, but I didn't make a quick save, and I'm trying to not do quick saves as much as I can, because I don't want to use quick saves too often, because that would make for I don't want to say bad content, because it wouldn't be bad content. It would make for an explosionless Kerbal Space Program career mode playthrough. And if you've played Kerbal Space Program for more than 5 minutes, you would know that explosions are part of the game. So sometimes I will use quick save reverts, and sometimes I won't. I don't really have any rules against it that I follow. I do have a rule of you getting one tech node at a time, like not one tech node, one tier of science every time, because we don't want to be unlocking fusion rockets before we unlock like better solar panels. So I'm just trying to get everything one tier at a time, just to I honestly don't know why. Anyways, after that is finished and we get Kerbals back into the lander, we can head back up to the surface and dock with the space station. We will be returning to the Mun quite a bit in this episode. Another thing you may know about this episode, it's a bit longer than usual. It's, here, let me see. It is 26 minutes and 10 seconds long. At least that's what the YouTube bar says. So it's a bit longer than the normal, like, 20-ish minutes that I normally have my videos. But most of this episode, we're already well over halfway through this episode, is used up by this rover drive. And I didn't want it to be that boring, because I don't want to, essentially I don't want to have an episode that's just dedicated to the rover. Wait a minute, why did it just pause there? Huh. For some reason the video has paused here. I am not entirely sure why. It's probably a mistake on my part, and I probably won't edit that out, because that will make the entire commentary more difficult to edit. And I'm gonna try and get this episode out today, because it has been quite a bit since the last episode. Okay. I mean, we're not going to be able to get to another star system if I release an episode every week, every 2 weeks. I've sort of been keeping an upload schedule of about every week, but I don't really have an upload schedule, to be honest. And yes, we are trying to get to another star system, which is why I have Galaxies Unbound installed, which has those like little lights you can see in the sky. Even when all the other stars are dimmed out, you can still see some of the stars in the sky. Those are actually real stars that you can actually visit, which I think is pretty cool. Anyways, next up, we are returning back to Kerbin and launching a rescue mission. We haven't launched one of these in a while, but we need more astronauts. Because right now, we only have the original 4, which is Jeb, Bill, Bob, and Val. Actually, no, Val is dead. We have 3 of the original 4. And I think that's all we have. All the other ones are on the space station. So we need more astronauts for our space program. And this is what we're doing right now. I want to do the rescue missions and not hire the Kerbals because USI makes the core Kerbals, like pilots, engineers, and what are they called? Pilots, engineers, and scientists. A bit more expensive, but it also adds new Kerbal types, which are less expensive, but we don't really need the new Kerbal types because we're not building any colonies anytime soon. I mean, we might. I don't know. I have plans for a Mun base sometime soon. But we don't need any of the special Kerbal types. We just need what's it called? We just need the normal Kerbals right now. But yeah, that's essentially why we're doing this rescue mission. Anyways, we have rendezvoused with the stranded craft. We have gotten our new applicant. This new Kerbal is totally willing to go to space, to be in the space program. Totally willing. He is not forced in any way possible. And we are demonstrating a perfectly safe re-entry right now. Demonstrating a perfectly safe, nothing wrong with this. I mean, it's a right re-entry now. But as you saw just a second ago, we were entering like we are entering prograde because we didn't want that amount of drag and we wanted to land relatively close to the space center, which is what we did. But you may have noticed we launched this on a Polaris. We haven't reused it, so that is what we're doing now. Yeah, the Polaris is reusable, so this thing actually doesn't have the second stage because the payload actually had the right amount of fuel to get into orbit, so it doesn't have the second stage. It's only the first stage of the Polaris, but we can still get into our orbit and recover it. And as you can see, we made it with 23 meters per second left to spare. Next up, we are performing a quick mid-course correction with the Eve lander to get on a better intercept with Eve, essentially. Once again, it's pausing. That's probably an editor failure on my part. Yeah, this pause lasts for like 5 seconds, but I'm not gonna edit it out because, like I said, it's gonna mess up the commentary because I'm gonna have to like resync the audio. Anyways, with the science earned from the Munar Gateway, we can unlock a new tech node, which is precision propulsion, which gives us better engines, not better engines. I'm going to pause that for a second. We are performing another mid-course correction with the Duna 2 probe, which should be arriving in the next couple episodes, so that's something to look forward to. We unlock precision propulsion, which gives us smaller engines, like the what's it called? It's the one that's not the ant. It's the the spider engine. That's what it's called. Anyways, right now we are launching a I'm really tired right now. What is this? It's a Sarnis launch vehicle. Yes, we are launching a Sarnis launch vehicle, which is carrying a quick resupply to the Munar Gateway. I'm honestly thinking about retiring the Sarnis booster soon, for reasons which I'll explain momentarily. But right now we have detached the first stage, are onto our second stage, and can head into orbit. Now, the first thing you're going to notice on this rocket is that the fairing is really big. Well, the fairing is also gone now. This is because we need to fit this entire payload into one launch. And it contains a new docking adapter because we're running out of docking ports. A cupola module, so Kerbals can stay up there longer, because if you have cupola modules, that then increases the hab time that the Kerbals can, increases the amount of time that Kerbals can stay up there. And we also have I'm going to pause that for a second as well. Right now we are performing another mid-course correction with the what is this? The Eve scanners, I think that's what these are. And to get them on a intercept with Eve. This was recorded a while ago. I'm gonna say that now. But even now on April 1st, they still haven't arrived yet, so they should be arriving soon. Another thing you may notice, this may be published on April 1st. I am recording this on April 1st, but it might not be out. It might also be, I don't know. But I do not have anything planned for this special occasion. So there's going to be absolutely no surprises in this video. Unless I put something in editing. Well, that's another story. But I didn't really have anything planned for April 1st, so... Anyways, I didn't put the landing of the booster because this episode is already running quite late. Because we have... it's 26 minutes long, and that's a lot of time. 6 minutes, you can do a lot in 6 minutes. So I didn't include the booster landing because it was also quite repetitive. It was a lot of quick save reverts because for some reason FMRS doesn't like the Falcon 9 booster. I'm not sure why, but it always flips the fuel tank into the what's it called? The upper stage, which isn't good because then the entire thing explodes, and I can't even use unbreakable joints and no crash damage because it will just send the booster into an uncontrollable spin, so we can't do that either. So I just decided to cut that part out. What are we doing now? We are docking all the modules to the space station, and that gives me time to talk about why I'm retiring it. Well, first off, that reason that I explained earlier is part of the reason why. Second off, we can probably make a better launch vehicle. I have one that I'm currently designing that can deliver a fully fueled orange tank, which is about 40 tons, into orbit of Kerbin. And that's a lot of fuel right there. So you should hopefully see that soon, but probably not for a while, because I still need to build it, and I haven't even... I don't really have anything that warrants a 40-ton payload. You could have noticed that we also had a KIS inventory container. That was for just a couple things that we might need in the future. I once again cut that out because that might have been a bit... It was just a few trips back and forth to the booster, so it wasn't anything too exciting. But now we can deorbit the booster, and this will actually bring us to the end of the video. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next episode.